Let's talk about how critical the timing of the intervention can be, and why is that? Why is it so important?
Once I talked to my friend from high school who had a child who had been diagnosed years before, that is something I am eternally grateful that she said, do not wait. And I said, well, there's 6 months waiting list for the developmental pediatrician. And she said, not good enough. Like, the earlier, the better. The brain is just growing right now.
The more I read about it and then I started going to school for it, I saw this is really critical. This is the time to get in there and try to reduce the gap as much as possible so that she could try to maintain pace. So that early intervention, all of your neuroplasticity, it's the best time. So we did the intake and had that happen 10 days after her diagnosis. And she started 2 weeks after that. So we didn't say, well, we have a trip planned to my grandma. Like, we dropped everything, and that was our full focus.
And you would do that again?
Oh, 100 times over, yes. One of the more painful professional experiences I had is I would have people come in because their doctor said, you know, your 2-year-old is showing some signs. They would get a diagnosis and they would come to do an intake at the company I started. And we'd go through, and it's very difficult for parents. You're reading a 20-page report on all the things your kid doesn't do, and that's pretty painful. And how you deliver that news is so important. But when you say to them, you know, we recommend a comprehensive program, maybe it's 25, maybe it's 30, and they want to wait. And I had more, I would say probably 3 families who ended up deciding they weren't ready and then came back at 7.
At 7 years old?
7 years old, devastated, crying in my office saying, we should have listened, are we too late? And I was like, it's never too late. ABA works all the way through lifetime. But to see that was very difficult for me because I know had I made that choice, that would have changed the course of our entire family's life.